This isn't the run-of-the-mill room tour. This is a room tour through the lens of creating a space that is intentional to the very last detail, and a place that fuels productivity, reaching the life you want and becoming the person you want to be. If you get some cool tips from this video, let me know, and if you have some tips of your own, also let me know. I'd love to improve wherever possible. Make sure to watch till the end of the video where I give a quick summary and list of some of the things I didn't actually mention in the room tour that you can implement yourself. This is TheWritePath's 2025 room tour. Let's go. Clearly a very normal door, and as you step inside, you see my room. Now the first thing you might notice is, Harrison, where's the bed? This is where I sleep, right on the floor. Now I usually have a pillow, but I have it in the cupboard at the moment to keep things clean. I have a little sheet, and there's a reason why I don't have a bed. Now the reason I don't have a bed is because of three things. Number one, it creates a space where you can lay down and relax. Now there's nothing wrong with relaxing. There's nothing wrong with laying down. But by giving myself that extra friction between comfortability, it kind of gives me a pause before I just doom scroll on my phone and lay in my bed. If I want to do that, I need to be laying down on the floor, and that is definitely not as comfortable. Number two, I think it is a great way to gain a little perspective about the things we take for granted. I think when you're surrounded, especially in the Western world, by amenities and comfortabilities, hot showers, running water, you tend to lose yourself in the mix a bit. I think you stop really understanding the privilege you have by having a bed or by having these things. So by removing one of them, it makes me think more deeply about that subject. And number three, it's because I want to have more room to film content. It's as simple as that. I do share my house with my brother, and our living area is set up for a TV and then also a workspace for a business that we run together. So I can't really film much of my content. I can't really have a set out there, so my room is all I have. Now my personal favorite place in my room is definitely my bookshelf. I have a beautiful old lamp that my grandma gave me, some little trinkets, a few Pokemon cards down here. This is kind of the only bit of distraction that I have in my room. I have some manga, some Pokemon cards. That's actually the business I run with my brother. We sell Pokemon cards. But I just have a load of books here. I separate them by genre. Yeah, so this is a place that I feel fuels learning. So I believe by having books as my main form of entertainment, it slows me down. It still allows me to do something that I enjoy, but I find myself not being able to read books nearly as long as I could watch Netflix or scroll on my phone. Sometimes I get really entrenched in a really good book, but I definitely have pauses when I'm reading and think, oh, maybe I could do something else now. That doesn't happen when I am being unintentional with my time and wasting it on things like doom scrolling. I also have this red light here because I think it's a lot better at nighttime to keep your brain as not stimulated as possible so you can fall asleep and have a deeper level of rest. Over here I have some art supplies. I journal and I like making little collages in there when I do that. I also have a lot of my books. These are all the books that I write in. I find myself writing more on a computer nowadays, but I still like to sometimes write. There's something romantic about that. Okay, so after my bed, my bookshelf, and my art supplies, we have this. This is a little box that I keep a bunch of memorabilia, things that I have a lot of sentimental value connected to. I have some gifts that I got in Japan for people down there. I just keep some loose notes here. all my belts. And yeah, here I have a drawer for health, travel supplies, and random tech, usually just a bunch of cords. Here's a beautiful photo of myself and my mother a few years ago. And yeah, here I have a little glasses collection, really like wearing glasses, and all of my supplements and colognes. Now, I find supplementation is very important for my process. I'm not a health expert, so I'm not going to say you should be doing any of these, but for me personally, these really help. Zinc and vitamin C, fish oil, this stuff that I can't pronounce, L-theanine, this is a powder, Super B complex vitamin, magnesium, vitamin E, and the Peace of Resistance new tonic, created by Chris Williamson and I forgot his partner's name, but yeah, this stuff is amazing. I really find it's a nootropic, so it's a cognitive enhancement. It really helps me get deep in my work sessions. I do think it's a little pricey, but for me, it's definitely worth it. This is a word count milestone for my book that I haven't written in a long time because I'm a lot past 3,000 words now. And now we move to the place where I actually get all my work done. My desk setup. So there are a few key things about my desk setup that I think everyone should get or implement into their own. Now the first is reminders of the path you have chosen. Here I have create an environment that fuels creativity, makes it hard to use anything that creates distraction, promotes learning, protects the senses, and prioritizes efficiency. Underneath that, I have when distracted, read, practice bringing your focus back by telling yourself you'll address your other thoughts later, and repeatedly bring attention back to the problem you're currently working on. I also have reminders that I've just written all over my desk. My desk is actually just these legs with a beam underneath, and then I just put a massive piece of plywood on top because I think a big desk is absolutely amazing. But yeah, these are some of the reminders that I have on my desk that sometimes when I'm distracted, I'm looking around, I read some of these. If I'm anxious, I read some of these, and it brings me back to the present. So I'm currently working on my debut novel, and so my vocabulary for certain things isn't extensive yet. It's not where I want it to be. And something that I really find helpful is this chart here, and it says words to use instead of said. And there's 3 pages of all different words I can use depending on the emotion I'm trying to provoke or show in the character. I also have some sticky notes. I find regular sticky notes to be amazing. You don't need all the fancy ones. They're cheap, easy. You can just write something down. A massive goal of mine is retiring my parents, so that's something I keep myself reminded of every single day. Another thing I think everyone should get is a simple timer. This one I just flip on, and then I set the mode to a timer, however long I want my work session to be, click start, and then I'm not allowed to do anything else but the task I've designated myself until this runs out. It's a great way to keep track of how long you've been doing something without constantly looking at your phone. Sometimes I'm working on my computer so I can see it there, but I think even getting out of the flow of going out of the tab and looking at the time on your computer can be very distracting also. Then on the right side of my desk, I have my phone. I have these little wax things to seal letters. All my stationery that I keep in this box. What I do is I like to write notes to my future children for them to read about what I'm going through at this time in my life, or thoughts I'm having about them before they even exist. And I wanted to write some tonight, so I put this here as a reminder for that. And here are 2 very important books that are highly effective for being productive. So first is my journal. It's just a common book that I decorated a little bit. In here, I just have my thoughts, my feelings, my goals, my anxieties, And by writing them down, not only does it clear my head, but it makes me more intentional about what's actually going through my mind at that current moment and what I need to do to improve. It's also a great way to reflect on when something was working in your life, what were you doing at that exact time? So then you go back to an old journal, you look through it, and you find the thoughts you were having, the habits you were committing to. And then this one is a commonplace book. So commonplace books are something that's been around for a long time. I'm pretty sure it was the first ever book that people had that they would use as something to write in, not a story or something that just intellectuals would use and then sell copies of. This was the first personal book that people had. Usually there would be one to a family, usually the father or husband of the family would have it, and as he would go throughout his day, if he heard any quotes, if he thought of anything that's intentional or really connected to his path, he would write it down. He would make an index with all the different topics that are relevant to his life, and then number them, and then go to that page and put something in those fields. I'm going to be making a full breakdown of how you can create your own commonplace book very soon, so make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get notified for when that's out. So after the non-existent bed, the bookshelf, all the other bits and bobs, my desk setup, you come here. Now this is inspiration for something that I'm doing. What I have here is photos that I got from Pinterest about the book I'm currently writing on. No matter what your goal is, even if it's not for a story that you're trying to create, I think putting these up around whatever you're doing can be very motivating and inspiring. After all that, I just have a little space. I keep some Japanese snacks down there. This is usually where my light that's shining right now is standing. All my tripods, a box full of random stuff, some hair care stuff, running equipment, some more stationery that I don't use often, some Pokemon cards that I have in my personal collection, important files, and an old laptop. Okay, now for that quick list. Invest in some blue light blocking glasses and red lights. Remove as many distractions as possible. Surround yourself with reminders of the path you have chosen. Keep your room clean. Only have the essentials at your desk. Try and use books as your form of entertainment. Keep the console and the TV out of your room. Make sure to have a monitor stand and laptop stand to ensure you have as healthy of a posture as possible. And know where everything is in your room to remove the friction from distraction caused by not knowing where something is. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you start to use some of these ideas to create an intentional space that fuels creativity, productivity, and living the best life you possibly can, you will be on the right path. Ciao.